your strength zone, being in your gift zone. So that's what it's
correct.
all about. Yeah.
That's right.
So Chris, I know that everybody has a story and a journey, and everybody kind of has a backstory as well. So for you, what flipped the switch for you?
What flipped the switch for me? Oh my goodness. There was a couple of questions. My wife played a critical role in a switch for me. And this goes back beyond before, I got into personal growth and development, and before, things shifted for me. It was twofold because, growing up, I was a pretty wild child, and I was going to be one of two things. I was either going to be dead or in jail. I was either going to be dead or in jail. And that's why I just smile today going, holy smokes, I run this large organization, and like literally I was going to be dead or in jail. By age 21, I had 2 DWIs at that point in time. And at that point in time, I decided to make a single choice. One of the best choices I ever made. I said, hey, I'm not drinking anymore at all. I haven't had a drink since the age of 22. I'm 40 years old now. So it's been 18 plus years since
Congratulations.
I had a sip of alcohol. So that was one choice. Second choice was that, for me, I'm a person of faith. And so it was, giving my life to Christ, and then, really becoming, a student of faith. And that was two of the biggest changes. But again, that was as a result of my wife and prompting and asking me a question one night in a drunken stupor. She said, Chris, could you imagine what your life could be like without alcohol in it? And in this clear moment, Gloria, I was drunk as I could possibly be. In this clear moment, I saw with clarity from that single question, what could life be like without alcohol? And I saw a vision of it, and there was a peace. There was a peace that came over me in this drunken stupor. And I said, I want that. And, I stopped drinking at that time. And like I said, I haven't had a single drip of alcohol since then. And so that was a great, great turning point for me.
So, Chris, that's an amazing story. And what a wonderful, beautiful wife you have. And for her to ask you that question, I'm a person of faith too. And what you saw, that was a prophecy for your life.
Yeah.
So I've heard you talk about this part of your life before, and I'm wondering if you would be willing to share, you were in court. You were, so tell us about that part if you would.
Yeah. It was another, a judge there was very critical. And this is probably one of the best full circle stories that I've experienced. And, I remember going in with Judge Pelican. It was Judge Pelican at St. Charles County Court. And Judge Pelican was, he was a tough judge. And, at that time, I was a licensed stockbroker at the age of 19. And, so I had this potential. I had this capacity. And this judge saw this capacity. He said, Chris, he goes, you're either going to be dead or in jail. And so when I say those words earlier, it's as a result of him saying those words to me, because he had the ability to place me in jail at that time. And he says, Chris, he goes, you got licensed at the age of 19 as a stockbroker. He goes, you got a Series 7, a 63, and a 65. He goes, the average person just doesn't pass a Series 7 license exam. He was like, you have potential. He says, I'm going to give you everything that I can possibly give you without sending you to jail. He goes, but if you don't turn around from here, you're either going to be one of two places, dead or in jail.
Mercy.
And so he gave me everything. I had probation. I had SATOP. I had to go to AA. I had to have a blow tube in my that before the car would start. And I went through that process of the court system. And, that process helped me. I was rehabilitated through that process, but I think primarily to my faith is how I was redeemed of that. But I'm not going to preach here today.
Hey, you can preach for me.
But that part was definitely a part of the process. And it was so great because I remember I believe it was 2014 or 15, I was speaking at an event in the same city of Judge Pelican, and I sat down at the table. I'm the keynote speaker for this event, probably 300 people in the room, and I sit down, and it is Judge Pelican sitting next to me. Now, at that moment, Gloria, I am dripping in sweat because I'm like, I know him, but he doesn't know me, and I'm going back and forth of, do I say anything? Do I not say anything? And I turn to him and I say, Judge Pelican, you probably don't remember me because you've seen, thousands of people in the court. But I want you to know that my life was changed because of the chance that you gave me. And today, I'm your keynote speaker. And I mean, the smile on his face, the conversation, the dialogue they had, and the people that have been impacted because of the choices that he's made. I just can't explain it. It's been incredible. It's incredible what I get to do on a daily basis.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing your heart. And, Chris, I know that you are speaking life into our listeners. And I know that, your story is a mirror for somebody else. So thank you again for sharing it, being open and vulnerable and real. Yeah. So you mentioned a word when you talked about your, what flipped the switch for you. And the word was process. And so I want to just kind of pivot a little bit and ask you about the John Maxwell team. And what does it mean? I mean, we use this term there, being a product of the product, right? So can you give us a little context and then talk about, that?
Yeah. When we're talking about a phrase being the product of a product, it's one thing to sell something. It's another thing to actually be something. One of the privileges that I've had, in this industry is I've had a chance to meet a lot of big name speakers, a lot of big writers and authors. And, what I've come to find out is, I meet some of these people and I've read their great books and I meet them in person. And then I realize that I love their books. There's a difference in the person than what they write, and they're not a product of the product. So when we talk about being a product of the product of John Maxwell team, it's about living what we're teaching. And so why I'm so transparent on every single call is because I don't want there to be this perceived gap of, oh, this is Chris Robinson. He's the long title, whatever it is. And, Chris
it's getting longer,
It gets longer and longer, right? Chris is a human that was in pursuit of a dream. Yeah. And my dream looks just like everyone else's that's out there. It's no different. It's a 3-part story, just like yours, just like mine. It's dream, struggle, success. But the difference is that the people that can hold on to the struggle long enough reach the success. And so when we talk about being a product of the product and, enjoying that journey, it's understanding that I'm going to live what I teach and never teach what I don't live, and then I'm going to understand that there's time in order for me to become who it is that I want to become. And I'm going to do everything I can along the way to make sure that things line up with that.
All right. Thank you. And I love, you talked about the dream, struggle, and success. And a lot of people want success first.
Right. That's correct.
Right. So thank you for that. So what are some of the other ways, Chris, that you have found to serve others? And why are these ways that you serve so important to you?
Yeah, when you say other ways to serve others, I really think there's one way, to serve people, and it's getting to know people and find out how I can help them as an individual, okay? Not just as a leadership coach, but as a human. How can I help you? And so when I work with companies and organizations, and I go in to work with a manager, we're going to talk about the business, the leadership stuff, but we're going to talk about the personal stuff as well too, because I don't believe that there's a line of, hey, I'm just here to help you with your leadership. If I can help you personally, it's going to help you professionally. If I help you professionally, it's going to help you personally. And so there's a whole being in place. And so when we're looking to serve others, it's about serving beyond the scope of what we think that we can best serve them with. And so whether that's me helping a coaching client get a new house, a new car, patch up their relationship, help them get sober. Yes, I'm there as a leadership person, but I want to add value beyond what I'm paid to add value for them to do.
Okay. Absolutely. So can you unpack this just a little bit more? You talked about, you can sell something. You could probably sell anything. I'm just saying.
I have sold everything, Gloria. I have sold everything.
Oh, my. But you also talked about, not just selling something, but being something. And I understand, I understand that because that's my world as well. But can you just kind of unpack that a little bit in terms of what it means for you? And again, for our listeners who are all over the world, they may not really fully understand what you're talking about.
Yeah. So when I talk about, living into, being more or being what it is that you're selling, you hear the phrase, fake it till you make it, okay? Now, I don't believe in that phrase, fake it till you make it. Like, look, it's okay to not be it during the process, but as long as you're in pursuit of it, that's not faking it.
Yes.
All right? But when we say, when we try to behave a certain way, model a certain way that we're not, there's a gap and people can pick that up. And so I never want to give off the impression that I'm someone that I'm not because, it's happened to me where I've seen that mismatch of, hey, the book says that you're this, but then when I meet you, it says that you're this. I never want there to be a gap. So it's living into what it is that you're saying that you do. So it's about becoming the person. So when I look in the mirror and I say that, how do I become Chris Robinson? How do I become Chris Robinson? Because the Chris Robinson I am today isn't the Chris Robinson I was 10 years ago. Yeah. I had to become Chris Robinson today. So as you're looking forward at what you want to be, do, and have, you've got to say, hey, what do I need to do to become the person worthy of the person that gets to be, do, and have those things? Yeah. I get to run the largest leadership training company on the planet because I became that person. But I wasn't that person 5 years ago. I wasn't that person 10 years ago. I had to become who I am today, and I now have to become Chris Robinson at age 50 that I'm not now. So it's being in pursuit of knowing Chris Robinson hasn't arrived yet. Chris Robinson has yet to be built.
Yes. And so what I'm hearing you say is that it's always an act of becoming. It's like you don't just get to be Chris Robinson and stop.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Because there's more ahead. I know Paul Martin, he talks about, here the journey from here to there. And I've used that phrase forever as well. And people think that, once you arrive to there, that's it. Like I'm done, right? And if you ever think you're done, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you are. Right? You are. And when I look at today, a lot of people would think that, hey, I've reached a pinnacle, because I get to lead this organization. But with every fiber in my body, this is my stepping stone.
Yes.
This is not my pinnacle. And I'm just getting started. I'm just learning. I'm just growing. And I'm not Chris Robinson yet.
Yes, absolutely. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. So I know we've been on a few trips together with the John Maxwell team. And one that really just, sticks with me is the trip to Paraguay. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about, your trips to serve and what those trips have meant to you, Chris.
Yeah, those trips have been incredible in so many different ways. It's it's just so humbling because on these trips, for those that are listening, we do these what we call transformational trips. And these are trips where we're invited into the country by the president of that country, and we're asked to come in and train at the highest level for the president's cabinet all the way down to school children. We train tens of thousands of people in a period of time in order for them to go out and train people over a period of time so that they can transform the values inside the country. And, they're humbling because the fact that I'm able to step into